We don't do game reviews often on this channel, at least not without disguising them as something else. But today is a new day. New year, new me. That's what I always say.
I said that earlier today.
Well, I said that right now for the first time ever. Okay. No one's ever said that before.
You're right.
And we are going to be taking a look at Aliens Fireteam Elite. Now, this game is really interesting. We're going to review the whole game, but there will not be spoilers in this unless you consider enemy types or locations as spoilers, which I guess in that case you've had everything spoiled for you ever, so good luck. But you have that warning right now. If you enjoy what you see, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more content. Let's hop into it, because Alien is actually one of my personal favorite movie franchises. I have liked both styles of the movies. You know, you
love 4.
Yeah, I love 4. No, I prefer the horror and psychological aspects of it. So to me, some of my most fun watching the movies is things like Alien 1, even Prometheus and Covenant, I think do a really good job with those sorts of aspects. But I also do love Alien 2. This game is more based off of that movie.
Right.
I think it's worth mentioning that you do play as the Colonial Marines in this, which if you know nothing about Alien and you're just watching this to help my channel, thanks. The Colonial Marines are essentially a U.S. military, they're the United America's military, who go up into outer space and help enforce law and protect the settlements out in outer space that humans are on in the Alien universe.
Yeah, and we're not talking about the hit Xbox game Colonial Marines here.
No, this game is not at all like Colonial Marines in terms of a first-person garbage fest or mediocrity simulator, but it's interesting. It's a third-person action shooter. And I do want to say that this game does really capture the feeling of the Alien 2 movie and of the universe without being a defenseless person.
Right.
Because it's worth noting that a lot of the times the people we see go up against a xenomorph or any sort of alien life in that universe are like a scientist or a person who mines, not the kind of miner that Twitter would tell you about, but a person who does mining.
Right.
And something like that, not a soldier.
Right.
So to be able to take control of a soldier in this universe and actually fight aliens is really fun, which I think is one of the most important parts of a video game.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you want to play video games to have fun. That's what the point of games are for. Yeah, like you want to have fun, and I think that's something that's good about this is it is fun.
Yeah.
It's not the best game I've ever played.
No.
But it's fun.
It does scratch that itch for Alien 2 fans especially, or just fans of games like World War Z.
Right.
Survival action games. But I would say you won't get as much out of it if you're not a fan of the franchise. I don't think this is where you jump into Alien.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. I think it's also worth pointing out that if you don't have friends, it probably is not going to be as enjoyable to you.
Yeah.
Me and you played this, just us two, with a bot, and it was fun.
Yeah.
But it was definitely more fun when like me, you, and Jill played it.
This game almost seems designed around having friends.
Yes.
And having multiple other people you want to play with. And there is matchmaking.
Right.
But I can't imagine putting up with a random person doing this.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not for me.
No, because a lot of times when you play games like this and you have to do that, they're running all over the place.
Yeah.
They won't heal you, or they steal every kill, or troll you.
Yep.
There's not a lot of toxicity, I don't know, like countermeasures in this game. Especially if you played on a higher difficulty where friendly fire is a thing and you could invite someone online and they could just kill you.
Right.
So...
yeah, the gaming community is pretty toxic.
Not sure I'd want to deal with that. I do think it's worth mentioning there are good customization options in this game.
Yeah.
This was something you wanted to talk about a little bit.
Yeah, this was actually something I liked about it was, I think it's important to point out customization options for your guns and your perks. The game actually did a good job with like attachments, weapon cosmetics, stuff like that. I actually liked it because you can have your gun and then you can also like buy a bunch of different muzzles or, you know, magazines or scopes or, you know, stuff like that. Now it's not a lot like COD, but it is a decent amount that it actually gives you good customization options for your gun. And there's a flamethrower.
Well, that in and of itself boosted a couple points.
Exactly. I love the flamethrower.
It's worth mentioning, I bought so many muzzles in the game, some of the characters started referring to me as Muzzle'em. And I thought it was a little offensive to the general Earth community, but
right.
I guess their sense of humor is a little different.
Well,
in the
yeah,
future.
they're in outer space too, so they're not confined to the Earth laws.
Oh, got it. So they can be as problematic as they want.
Exactly.
It harkens back to the line.
Everyone gets the pass.
In space, no one can hear you say the N-word. It harkens back to the Alien 2 line where they say, like, she joined the Corps when she heard aliens. She thought they meant illegal aliens. Like, the colonial Marines are a problematic bunch.
Yeah, they are.
I think it's funny, too, with the customization options, because something we will talk about in a little bit is this game is very inspired by other games. We're not there quite yet.
That is really funny.
But, no, hear me out.
Okay.
This is something it does better than, I would say, the main game it's clearly emulating a little bit, which is World War Z. Mm-hmm. Weapon customization in World War Z sucks.
Yes.
It was horrible. All it is essentially you level up your gun, you buy a new level of the gun, and you pick one of two options, and you can't have both.
Well, yeah, and those two options will each have, like, one different feature on it. So, like, you could pick the top path, which would add a scope. But the bottom path would add, like, a barrel extender. And that was it.
And you can't have both. And why can't you have both? Who knows? They don't take up the same slot of the gun.
You just can't.
You just can't. I do also think that the intel is really interesting in this game, and you pointed this out as well in terms of finding things for the Alien continuity. You wanted to mention one of the things you found, and I have a connection to Prometheus as well.
Yeah, I think the intel in the game is cool, although I think the levels are way too long with too little of intel in them. Mm-hmm. That you end up finding like two or actually I think it's three.
Yeah, three
intel
max
per level, and the levels are big and like really long. So it's like you can go like 10 minutes in between each intel.
And they're really girthy and long.
They're really girthy and long, yeah. But anyways, the intel is cool. Like, I think it's very interesting. It really expands on just the alien lore in general.
And didn't you want to talk about that face hugger?
Yeah, that was awesome. There was like a face hugger, which I think was cool.
Right, and they started talking about the
face hugger started talking, yeah.
Put on glasses. No, when you take that back to the ship, they start telling you about the alien life cycle.
Yeah.
There are things that help you understand the universe better in game.
Right, and like some of the intel stuff is from the movies.
Well, and clearly the people who made this game understood the films.
Right.
And that's something I want to talk about too, because one of my favorite movies ever, which I always get crap for this, is Prometheus.
Okay. I thought you were going to say Batman and Robin.
No, don't dox me like that.
Okay, sorry.
I love Prometheus, though. I understand its flaws. Mm-hmm. I understand there were things in the original script that should have been in there for explanation and to make the movie better. But I think it's really interesting how they were able to tie this game even to something like Prometheus, to things like the pathogen, which is a chemical that is way too long of a name on the Alien Wikipedia. But this is essentially a chemical from Prometheus, where we learned that it was likely created by the original engineers prior to humanity expanding into space, and we see it actually used by the android David in that film, trying to figure out what this thing is. David is not the most moral person. And speaking of that, there was also a reference to David directly in this game. His models of android. They don't say David, but they talk about how artificial intelligence and the androids that were being created were so advanced that they would have instability problems with their minds, and they would do immoral things or whatever. They talk about that in this game in some of the intel, which is something interesting because if you know about Prometheus, that's exactly what happens.
Right.
You know, David is too human, but almost without the
hit Xbox game.
Yeah, with a hit Xbox game. He's the sequel. Without the spark of humanity that sort of limits his morals,
right,
and moral, engagements. He's very flexible with his morality. It's also something too that, not to get into my big fan network of fan theories here, but Ridley Scott, who directed the original Alien, made several references back and forth through these films to each other with Blade Runner and other things, to the point where a lot of the fans consider those to be a shared universe, and it ties into that as well, because that was a big problem with the replicants. More human than human. You know, they were so human and so lifelike that many of them, they could go, if they weren't told, they might not even know they're replicants, and they were able, some of them, especially the warfighting models, were able to commit atrocities very easily. They had such flexible morals. So my point that I'm getting to is all this stuff that you think of in this general timeline, whether it's just Alien or the expanded community accepted Alien, Blade Runner, Soldier, all that stuff, that is it fits into this.
Right.
And there are references, and whoever made this understood those things.
Yeah.
I do think, though, we're going to get into some of the bad, which we're going to cover more quickly, but before we hit that, the game's price point, at least in America, does help soften the blow of some of its flaws.
Right.
If you're buying it at launch. I do think that the more money you pour into something, you should expect it to be good either way.
Mm-hmm.
But you expect a higher quality, more full product if you're paying $70 than $40 US.
Yeah, it's a little easier to look past mistakes when you don't spend a lot of money on it.
Yeah, which is worth mentioning. I mean, there's always that inherent bias. If you buy Super Smash Bros. Melee today and you've never played it and you spend $150 on it complete, you're probably going to be a little harder on it than someone who spent $40 on sale as a kid. So I don't know. That is worth mentioning. But with the bad in this game, it's not bad to be inspired by things, but this game is inspired by so many things that it handles worse than what it was inspired by.
Right.
And I think that kind of sucks. It doesn't make the game bad, but it makes you feel like, oh, I could just be playing this other game for this thing and it would be better.
Mm-hmm.
World War Z is a big example of that. This is very clearly inspired by World War Z, which was also inspired by Left 4 Dead. You could see that in its gameplay style. But with World War Z, there are more interesting enemy encounters than in this game in a lot of ways, and they don't happen every single second.
Yeah, that was my biggest problem with this game. You have no downtime. None. And they throw like this intel in the game, which makes you search around everywhere for this stuff. But you can't actually search for the stuff because every 2 seconds an alien's mauling you.
Yeah.
And then they also randomly spawn like those prowler aliens which like mount you, and not in a good way.
Right. And I will say, not to go back to positives, but one thing it does better is that the Xenomorph warriors, they are more interesting than a lot of zombies too, where you have the standard alien warrior or soldier or whatever. Mm-hmm. That Xenomorph will run on 2 legs, he'll run up, slash at you, he'll hide in vents.
Yeah.
But I would say that for that character, there's so many other uninteresting characters, like just the hordes of brainless aliens that just rush at you like insects.
Yeah.
And the spitters will just sit back and shoot at you annoyingly. Mm-hmm. And they will nullify certain perks that you have or power-ups. Like, if you want to put down a trauma kit as a healer, well, good luck, because a spitter will just spit on it and destroy it.
Yeah, they're like literally snipers.
So it makes it pointless to try and manage your health while fighting.
Right.
It's almost like you have to take care of all of that after fighting.
But then you can't manage your health after the fighting, because then they attack you again.
Right, they spawn in, like, I believe it's infinite waves randomly.
Yeah.
At random points in the level. If you just sat somewhere, enemies would keep spawning. Mm-hmm. That's kind of obnoxious.
Yeah.
There's a lot of similarities I've seen with this game to Destiny, with running around the hub world, talking to NPCs, getting little snippets of dialogue. And while I would say those snippets of lore and dialogue are more interesting in this game, those parts are more interesting, but everything else is less. There's really no vendors to go to get much from that is unique or exciting like there is in Destiny. Mm-hmm. And it makes the ship that you are on between missions feel like a glorified main menu where you can just walk around.
Yeah, I would say the main hub is a better version of Star Wars Squadron's main hub.
That's like bottom of the barrel.
And that's kind of sad.
Yeah. like compare this to something that came out like over a decade ago, I suppose, Dark Souls 1's hub. Yes. Firelink Shrine.
Right.
How interactive that is. I do want to say, too, we covered this a little bit. If you do want to play solo, you can, but you're not going to have much luck, I don't think, playing above standard difficulty. The bots are terrible.
Right.
I don't understand why I saw some games journalists saying they're good. I don't understand, because we tried playing with them.
Maybe they're playing on easy.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe, because on intense, they're horrid.
Right.
They are basically worthless. And the bot ran out of lives. The bot permanently died in our level we play with a bot. So I don't know. And you can't improve those bots. You can't exactly just go into the settings like in Black Ops Combat Training and make them smarter. Mm-hmm. That's just not there. Yeah,
it's basically just good luck. I mean, I don't have this issue because I have way too many friends.
Yeah, me too.
So I have so many friends. I have a lot of people to play with. But
yeah, I don't listen to Behind Blue Eyes and Hello Darkness, my old friend, on repeat.
No,
in my room alone at night.
No, definitely not.
No.
But for someone who is not as popular as I am,
right? Everyone else.
I feel like this is not going to be as fun of a game. And that's kind of a problem with it.
Yeah.
Because game developers nowadays have to realize that not everyone's sitting alone in their room all the time. Like, video games are very interactive with the rest of the world. Even if it's literally just playing online with random people. If you're playing this game solo, you're going to get screwed. Which I think is a problem with this.
Yeah.
Because not everyone wants to play online all the time.
Right. Well, and speaking of that, even if you do want to play with your friends, there is no local co-op.
Yeah.
So there's no split screen, there's no Lego Star Wars type thing. I think it was necessary in order to make the games more accessible.
Yeah.
And it would be nice to be able to have your friend sit down next to you on the couch and play Aliens with you.
Right.
There's no option for that unless he lugs his console with him and plugs it in.
Yeah.
This is becoming more common, but I think it's always worth pointing out when local co-op is cut out that it is a bit short-sighted. My final conclusions on this are not that it needs to be compared to everything.
Mm-hmm.
I know that can be unfair. Something can be fun in its own right, and this is fun. But I can't help thinking when I play this about the other games, World War Z, which I think is more entertaining and handles a lot of these same systems better. Or even games like Alien Isolation, which I think is able to handle the aliens as a scary, real threat much better. It's able to immerse you in the world of Alien more, and you have more time to look around. And it's not just, pussyfooting around. Obviously, the alien can still show up at any time in that game. But it does make you feel like, oh man, I'm really looking around this space station. I'm discovering secrets and lore and all kinds of stuff. And while I like the lore in this game and I like the fun gunplay and all of that, this comes off as a less complete product to me than the previous AAA Alien game of Isolation, and a bit of a less complete game to me than other games on the market like this, like World War Z.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, I think my only final thoughts with this is, well, the game is fun. I like the game. I have a good time playing it. The biggest thing that annoys me is kind of a two-parter. One, I get so annoyed with constantly having an alien on my butt at all times.
And not in it. Yeah.
Right. I want him in it, and he's not. The second part is the maps and the worlds are so girthy and so huge, but there's not a lot inside of them.
Oh, so it's like a hollow.
Exactly. Yeah. And I wish it was in me.
Right.
I mean,
you wish there was more in the game?
Yeah, I wish there was more in the game. That's what I meant.
Got it. Sus. Got it. Sus.
Right. Sus. Yeah, it's like I wish there was more in the game. Like, you can run around this area and there's all these like random hallways with stuff, and you go to the end of the hallway and it's like, why did I walk down here?
It's nothing. There's no lore, there's no objects, it's just empty.
Yeah. And I think that's something, not that this has to be compared to this, but something like World War Z, almost at every hallway is a box that you can open, or something, or a gun,
or whatever,
or some grenade refills or something.
Well, even compare it to Alien Isolation. Like I said, every corridor you're going down, there's something interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
You might not even find an object there, but you'll find environmental things where you're like, wow, I feel like I'm on the set of the original Alien.
Right.
This is really cool.
Yeah.
This game's game design for some of its environments comes off as PS1 or PS2 like.
Yeah.
Where it's a big world, and it's almost like that's the selling point, and not what's in it.
Right.
And I've never agreed with that game design of, it's big, it's good.
Right.
It's
like, well, yeah, but what's in it?
Yeah, that's only true in the bedroom.
Right.
When it comes to video games, when it's big, you can have the hugest world ever, and if you don't populate it well, if you either overcram it with garbage like Assassin's Creed Unity, or you underpopulate it with nothing, like portions of the GTA 5 countryside, where there's nothing at all.
Right.
Imagine a whole map like that. Being expansive doesn't make it good.
With it being so big, and with the aliens constantly swarming you, it takes you so long to look around for the intel, but if you already have the intel, your best option is just to run. It's just, there's nothing in this room, let's run.
Because they'll keep spawning anyway.
Yeah, it's like, let's just move on, there's the objective, just keep running. And I think that's kind of a problem. Not saying that everyone wants to run around the map constantly all the time, but I'm saying, like, if your only point of a map is just let's just get through it as fast as possible because we already know nothing is even in here.
That's bad.
And if we stand here, we're gonna get just destroyed. It's a problem.
Yeah.
And that's my biggest problem with the game.
So your biggest problem with the game is the game loop, essentially,
Yes.
like what you do back and forth. I would say go into a room, very quickly scan it for intel. If you've already done it, that part of the loop is gone any subsequent playthrough.
Yeah, then it's
And
just run through.
Run through the room, kill what you have to, get to the next room, defend a point until a timer counts down, run to the next room, do the same thing, done. And there should be more to it than that, especially for such an interesting world.
Right.
I always thought Alien, and especially the expanded Alien universe with all the spin-offs, the comics, everything, it is one of the most interesting worlds in fiction when handled well and explored well. We both think it could be better. I would buy a sequel if it was marketed off of fixing the problems this game had. I don't know. In conclusion, we liked it. Hopefully the next one's better. I want them to go back to survival horror too, and not just do what Fox always did of releasing one thing and being like, it didn't sell well enough, no one likes this aspect of Alien, no one likes horror, or like, oh, Aliens Colonial Marines didn't sell well, no one likes Alien 2.
Right.
Like, that's always what Fox seemed to do, and I always thought that was dumb as hell. We hope you enjoyed this. Please be sure to leave a like if you did. Subscribe for more content. Let us know if there are any other games that you'd want us to review in the near future. We're always interested to hear what you think. Be sure to check out all the stuff in the description down below. Nate and I also have a channel, Degenerate Plays, where we play through a bunch of different games, and I hope to see you inside of the comments. Have a fantastic day, and as always, everyone, stay shui.